Hey y'all, I'm Danielle. Welcome back to the Surrender CEO. In today's video, I want to walk you guys through a process of how I handle rude customers. So I actually had a rude customer this morning. It was very disappointing. I opened my email. It's my birthday too. It's my birthday. Opened my email and I had sent a customer, I sent all my first time customers a email thanking them for their first order. And so she received her thank you email, and her response was, "When will I get my order?" And I don't know why it rubbed me the wrong way so bad, but it did. I found it to be very rude. And I, I was just like, goodness gracious, where's the good morning? Where's the hello? Where's the something? But I said, you know what? I want to use this page and just the experiences that I go through to just share what I do and hopefully help and encourage another businesswoman because it's really frustrating when you face rude customers. Like for me, sometimes I just almost want to refund the order, and sometimes I have, depending on what the situation is. So, the first thing I want to say before I kind of go through my process of things is we have to remember as Christian businesses, we want our responses, even to rude people, we want our responses to honor the Lord. So, we're not responding to fight fire with fire. Okay. We want to show love and we want to make sure it's honoring to the Lord. So, the first thing, when you get a rude customer, it is natural for our flesh to be like, not today. I don't know who you're talking to, but it's not me. But they did email you. They certainly did. And so the first thing is calm down. Calm down. Don't be in a rush to respond. Get your emotions in order. Be in prayer. Ask the Lord to help you settle down. One of the things that I thought about this morning, I said, you know what, Danielle? I don't know what's going on in this woman's life to cause her to respond to my email like that, but goodness, I mean, you just never know what people are going through. And maybe they're not going through anything. Maybe that's just how they are. And that's really unfortunate. So the first thing we want to do is we want to calm down and get our emotions to the side. We don't want to respond in emotion. And that's just in general in life. If you're in a disagreement with somebody and emotions are high, you don't want to respond when you're all riled up. And then the second thing that I wrote down is whatever they're asking you, do your due diligence. So typically, you will get a lot of emails regarding when an order is going to ship, something about a damage, something about a lost package, something about the product didn't smell or feel the way they thought it was going to feel. And so pay attention to what they're actually saying before you just get all out of sort and come up with a response. Like do your due diligence. So this particular person, she just said, when's my order going to ship? But there have been people who something was damaged. And so they're frustrated. And while it's not right for them to be rude about it, they are frustrated. One of the things I want to mention here is yes, we have policies. And if you don't have policies for these things, today will be a good time to start looking into how is your company going to go about managing damages? How are you going to go about managing lost packages? How will you manage packages that say they're delivered, but your customer is saying they didn't get it? All of these things are going to happen at some time or another. And so you want to have policies in place. Do your due diligence of really figuring out what's going on. Maybe you need to ask some clarifying questions. Maybe you need to, depending on if it's a damage or not, you want to ask them for some pictures. Because some people will just say, oh, it arrived damaged. Okay. Well, can you show me what you mean by that? Like, how did the package arrive? I don't recommend, like in the case today when she was like, when will my order deliver? I should have said, I stated in the previous email that I sent, right? Like we like to do stuff like that. We like to be petty. Don't be petty. When you're responding to rude customers, don't be petty. No, we're not going to do that. And so I just simply said, "Hey, your order is going to ship on this day." And I told her it was going to ship tomorrow because today is actually Columbus Day and the post office is closed. Because some people don't know the post office doesn't operate every single day. They don't know that it's closed on Columbus Day. And I think we as business owners can fit, and some business owners don't even know this stuff, but I think we can assume that our customers are aware with shipping and processing and the mail carriers and their policies and stuff like that and their shipping windows. They don't know most of the time. And so we never want to assume. And so I just handled it that way. But don't be petty. Then you want to figure out how you can find them a solution or answer their question. This is a big one. And sometimes, back to what I was saying about your policy, that's why it's so important to have your policy set up. But also, sometimes there can be an exception. So you want to find a solution and or an answer, right? So today I just had to give her an answer. But sometimes you have to figure out a solution. If the package is damaged, are you going to replace it for free? Are you just going to refund them? Are you going to give them an option? Personally, I like to give an option. Hey, I apologize, it's arrived damaged. I can give you, I can issue you a complete refund, or I can reship the order or the product on such and such day and give them an option. But you have to figure out, like, you just saying, like, "Oh, well, I wrapped it. I don't know how it got damaged." That's bad business. That's bad business, especially when it comes to damages. Now, when you got lost packages, if it's truly lost by the carrier, you can file a claim. You typically have to walk your customers through that process because, again, they're just not familiar. But there have been times where people will say a package didn't deliver when it actually did deliver. So, what's your solution for that? Personally, for me, I like to wait a certain amount of time and see if it turns up. I like to see if they're willing to go ask their neighbors if maybe it got misdelivered. So you have to have a plan. As business owners, we have to be solution focused. We're going to have problems. They're inevitable when you run a business. Be a solution finder. Next, what I've been doing, because y'all know I use ChatGPT in my business, what I have been doing for a long time is I will copy what was said to me, and then and I'm not saying copy the whole email. I'm talking about just copy what you received from the customer and say, this is the solution I'm going to provide, or this is what I would like the outcome to be, and have them write a email back to them. And you can even give them suggestions. Like, a lot of times I like to be like shorter. I don't need a whole bunch of extra words. I want them to understand what they can expect without a whole bunch of extra stuff in there. But with that being said, I do want it to be very kind and I don't want to be harsh at all. And so I will let ChatGPT know that, hey, this response was a little harsh. Can we make this more kind without making it more long? And so you can kind of play around with that. And then lastly, once you have your email put together and you feel confident, go ahead and send that off and prepare yourself, because if that's how they came to you the first time, especially if you are giving them news that you know is going to be unsettling to them. For example, if they're telling you, this package did not deliver. I know it says it delivered, but I didn't get it. And you've chosen, like, I'm sorry. I'm not going to replace this $80 order because on the carrier's website, it says it delivered. Be prepared. As business owners, sometimes we are going to have to deliver that news. And so I've had some situations to where, you're emailing back and forth and the person becomes more and more mean, hoping that you will be like, okay, just because you want the emails to stop, you'll give in to what they're requesting. They want you to reship a $85 order because it says it delivered, but they actually didn't get it. You know, you have to be firm with your decisions, and that's why I was said in the beginning too. If you don't have these policies in place, get them in place, because then you can refer back and say, "Hey, this is our policy," and it's up to your discretion on whether or not you want to make an exception. But you have to use your own discernment on whether to exercise that or not. I hope this was helpful. Rude customers can be very challenging, but they are inevitable. And again, whatever you respond, m- make sure that it's honoring to the Lord. I don't think that bending our policies to make customers happy is always honoring to the Lord. Yes, we can make exceptions, but I don't believe we have to erase our policies to please our customers because the policies are in place for a reason. So I hope that was helpful. It is a challenge. It's a challenge. And I feel like the more wisdom you get in your business and the more situations you encounter, the easier it is to handle these people. But I still feel myself initially getting worked up because it's like, what caused you to send an email of that nature as adults, like as working people that at some level, wherever you work, you have to maintain some professionalism, but it's really crazy. And so I still deal with this. I hope that some of the tips and just experiences that I've shared have been helpful. And again, if you don't have your policy set up, get those set up immediately. So at least you have something to review for yourself when certain things happen in your company. So, anyways, I love y'all. Thank y'all so much for watching. If you have any topics that you like me to talk about, please drop them in the comments and I'll see y'all in the next video. Bye.